everyone. I'm just going to share with you some items that are going to create some nice ASMR sounds, so I hope you'll enjoy. Let's start with what a spiritual bequest is. I actually have a couple of Celtic legends that I'll start by sharing with you. So, an example of a spiritual bequest comes in the form of, I believe it was a Scottish or Irish musician who wanted to fulfill his worldly ambition of being a talented musician. And one day in the forest he was strolling by and he happened upon a beautiful fairy song. And this song, he was able to hear every single note and translate all of these dreams he was having into a magical song with harp, with instruments, with music, with lyrics. All these magical musical notes came to him from this fairy circle that he was able to touch upon somehow in the 18th century, so a long time ago. And basically he was told that with this magical song he's been gifted with, because even though he created it, he was gifted these notes, he was gifted this information from the fairy realm. He was only allowed to play this music 3 times in front of people. And so he did play it 3 times. But in playing this music, this magical fairy music, 3 times, he was actually put into a competition. And if he was to play it 1 more time, he may win this competition and fulfill his worldly ambition of being a very talented musician. But that day in the forest, he had been given a spiritual bequest to only perform this song a total of 3 times, otherwise there would be problems. And he had been given this information very clearly. He knew very well that this meant it's an unbreakable bond, something he's been bequested by for his own good, because it was a very powerful piece of music. And anyway, you can probably guess how the story goes. He decided to compete in the competition and use that very same song 1 more time, and he was crowned the winner. And just as he was crowned the winner, he dropped dead. So that's just a little legend, a little myth, a little story to help you to understand what a spiritual bequest is all about. So I want to talk a little bit about the time period that we're in right now, the time of the year, since we're talking about Celtic traditions. In the Celtic traditions, we have 8 holidays of the year that we celebrate. And right now we happen to be in Lunasa, which is the holiday that's celebrated right before Samhain, which is also known as Halloween. So we are at the very tip of summer. And the reason that I bring this up is because I feel like this time of the year is, for me anyway, I don't know about you, we all have our own special times of the year where we feel like we're at our best. And even though around the Lion's Gate, which is a spiritual portal known to the spiritual community as a time of great abundance and manifestation, I actually always end up feeling really tired and depleted around the summer solstice, more so around my birthday on the Lion's Gate. And it's actually in Lunacy and coming into fall that I really actually change, and I become more aware of how beautiful the sun is, because it's about to leave. Winter is coming, and all of this time, all of my life, I've said to myself, my favourite month of the year is summer. But actually I'm realising now, and maybe you will too, when you get to know these 8 holidays of the year that are part of these Celtic traditions, I'm noticing that actually my favourite time of the year is now in Lunacy, just before Samhain, just before Halloween. I've got all this time to appreciate summer and thank it for all of its growth and beauty, because around the very heightened times of the Lion's Gate, I have to rest, recuperate and relax. I don't have any energy. But around this time of the year, I have more, because it's almost like I'm appreciating the fruits of summer. And I didn't know that before, so I wanted to share that with you, because it's something that I've understood just today in doing my Celtic reading. Actually, I'm going to share with you the book that I was gifted, so that you can have a look as well into more of these Celtic legends. And it actually is a really, really magical book, because it has stories in there, it has just general ways of creating crafts, it has ways of understanding the holidays, so lots of different beautiful magical things in this book. It's called Kindling the Celtic Spirit by Mara Freeman, and this here was actually a gift. We went to an art show and we bought a couple of wooden spoons, because we were talking, mainly Eddie was talking to the guy that made these spoons. He just seemed to want to give us a gift, and so this is a walnut bookmark, which really I believe is the keeper of wisdom, so it fits perfectly with this book, which I really recommend. So that's kind of the understanding I wanted to share with you about spiritual bequest. I have a few other items that I'm just going to share with you. Some rosemary here. And I wanted to talk to you about what your spiritual bequest is, because it's becoming more clear to me that we all have our own individual spiritual bequests, and it's very important that we treat ourselves with the utmost respect and dignity, calm and mindfulness when we start to think about what our spiritual bequest could be. We're all bequested of information, gifted knowledge of some kind that we're supposed to treat sacredly. And if we don't, it can drain us, and it can even harm us. And I'm not just talking about being gifted something from the fairy realm. This could be a spiritual bequest that you know yourself that you have to keep to. It doesn't always necessarily come in the form of a Celtic legend, but I will say that I think a spiritual bequest is a very real thing that most of us maybe forget about in our day and age, because we're so used to getting more and more and more, and there's never enough. So I want you to think about how in some ways, there's another legend that I'll share with you, and it's that a boy, again, was looking for some music, and he found a harp, and he was able to play the most magical song. And instead of being satisfied with the fact that he'd played the most beautiful song that anyone had ever heard, he would spend all his days and nights trying to figure out how to play this song again. And although on the surface of it, that seems like a noble thing to do, he became obsessed, absolutely obsessed with obtaining this knowledge of how to play this most beautiful song that was ever played, to the point where his own mother, actually spoke with a black magician, and the black magician gave him two options. One was that he give him his soul and he get to play this music again, and the other was that he feed on his body and take away this desire to want to play this same music ever again. His mother chose to gift him with the music, and he played this song one more time. But then he realized what his mother had done. He no longer had a soul, and obviously take this with a grain of salt, right? This is a story, but he played sad music for the rest of his life, and that's apparently where the most melancholy music comes from in the Western Isles, according to this Celtic legend. And even though people will listen to his music or listen to sad music, it's not really worth as much time and energy as what the beautiful words we can give to life is, because it carries a different frequency, carries a different vibration. And I actually wanted to show you some gifts that I've been given. So this was a gift as well from a friend. It's called Elven Tea, and it really smells quite magical, that I haven't been able to have all that many teas with it because I just love to smell. So this time of the year is really about appreciating everything that we've been gifted and not trying to grasp onto that gift anymore. Just appreciating it for what it is. And even me, for example, I appreciate the gift so much that I don't even necessarily want to drink the tea. I think I've had maybe 3 cups of this, and I just feel like I want to keep it and appreciate it. That doesn't mean that you can't drink the tea, it just means that you know that you're appreciating something that isn't always going to necessarily be the same. Everything changes with time, and I think that's the moral of today's video, is that if those boys would have, it could have been women by the way, if they would have just appreciated that they got to sing this most magnificent music song, and instead of trying to play it again or reach for it again, they just realised that, you know what, I think that special moment is over now, but at least it gets to live on in my memories. I think we would do well as a culture to recognise that kind of spiritual bequest, because we have these highs and we have these lows, and when we have the highs, we tend to want to grip onto them and make them last longer, and we'll do all kinds of things to make them last longer and to make them become a part of every day, let's say, instead of realising that the wheel is always turning and changing, and we have to accept all that comes our way, the highs and the lows. And sometimes certain experiences were meant for that 1 year, meant for that 1 day, meant for that 1 hour. And even though we can't necessarily repeat them in the exact same way, we do have them as memories for the rest of our lives. And that which lives on in the heart lives on forever. Love is very much that way. Music is very much that way. I have a personal story I'll share with you to kind of round off this segment. So, I've realised recently, here's the door into the Celtic way. I wanted to invite you. This is a gift from a dear friend as well. It's this beautiful Celtic door in the forest. I have this feeling sometimes like sharing love. It is a double-edged sword, because on one hand you get to share love and you get to express open-heartedness, but if you don't remember your spiritual bequest of this love, if you don't realize that it's not just yours to give, it's consciousness's to give, if that makes sense, then we tend to think that we are owed something back. And that is not necessarily going to bring us anything other than disappointment. And that's because when we expect to receive something back because we've shared love, it causes us pain, especially when the people don't return that love, especially when they return it but not in the way that we were wanting them to do it. The other side of it, of the spiritual bequest of love, I'm speaking of specifically because love is something that all of us have. You don't have to be a great musician, you don't have to be a world-renowned artist, you don't have to be a successful writer in order to give and receive the most potent substance there is known to consciousness, which is love. Instead, you might give out love and feel hurt that it's not given back to you because you have expectations. And because of those expectations not being met, you might decide that this is a beautiful angel with us today as we open this chest of goodies. You might decide that you now are not going to share your love because it's too painful to do that, because the person doesn't receive you very well and they don't appreciate you, they don't respond, they don't tell you anything. But therein comes even more pain, or just as much pain, because now you're not expressing this love that flows through you naturally because of someone else's judgment or because of someone else's opinion of your expression of love. But remember, your expression of love is always seen in the eyes of consciousness, first and foremost. And so even if it becomes tainted by the observer, by the person that you're sharing it with, I would say that if you think about it in terms of a spiritual bequest, almost like an angel has come to give you this love, and they want you to share it. Or they want you to keep it, depending on your spiritual bequest, because it's different for everyone. Remember, the first singer was told to keep that music to themselves after 3 times of sharing it. The other wasn't told anything, was simply given a gift, and could not accept that it had only been given to them the once, and could not appreciate that maybe in time they would be given it again, or maybe not. They had to rush through the process and get back to that one song again, even if it meant selling their soul. So I guess really the moral is that when you have a spiritual bequest upon you, whether it's given to you or whether you have one with yourself, just allow the turning wheel of time to really balance out any of that high or that low that comes with it. Because I do feel like we have to go easy on ourselves in today's society, because we go so quickly, much more quickly than our ancestors did. And our thoughts are 10 million miles per hour, faster than they've ever been. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they've always been fast, probably. We've just gotten to do more things and to have more things to do. But just allow the angels, the fairies, nature, the elements, to remind you that the quality of time is more important than how much you get done in a certain amount of time. To share the love or to not share, I think to share the love is the most important thing. But if you can't share the love without having expectations, here's some muscate for you. Help you to just relax and come into that natural space of calm. If you can't share love without having expectations, maybe don't share that same love with that same person or in that same way for a while, and see how you go. That would be a spiritual bequest that you could have with yourself. Another spiritual bequest may be that when an angel comes to you in the form of joy, love, wholesome, divine wisdom, anything at all that's uplifting, and you get the urge to share it, you remind yourself that this is a spiritual bequest to share, and that is as far as the spiritual bequest goes. In that spiritual bequest, it does not say that you need to be repaid by this love that you share. You just have to make sure that when you share this love, you're sharing it for yourself first and foremost. You're sharing it with someone else or the world, knowing that it's for you, mainly for you, and you get to express you, your unique self, through the eyes of love. And that is the gift in itself. That is the bequest. That is the quest of life itself. Well, I hope I'm making myself clear. If you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, ponderings surrounding your own spiritual bequest, chat to us about it in the comments if you like. Otherwise, I'm just going to show you the rest of what I have here in my little goodie box. Chest of goodies. I have some shells here. These shells, as an example, I got from the dollar store. And to me, and to the Mayans even, these would have been worth so much more. But instead we put all of our value on this here. Actually, not the angel itself. I think that would be very nice if modern day money, coins, had animals and angels on them. Instead, we have other things on there. But money itself, I think, is a lot of people's spiritual bequest. And they put their worth on this bequest, not realizing that their worth is in the love they share. Your worth life's worth is in the simple things, like a shell. Like I was saying with the Mayans, for example, they used to trade for money. All different kinds of things, cacao, shells, corn, and they saw value in all of it. They were also very intense, crazy people. So, not all of them, but we also know that we've evolved as well since then. But in some ways, we put all of our eggs in one basket, if you know what I mean. So what I'm inviting you to do today, to finish off with this talk, is to think about your own spiritual bequest. How can you settle in to the spiritual bequest that's been given to you already, even if you haven't strolled through a forest recently or been given a message from an angel or a fairy or anything mystical like that. Doesn't matter, we all have a spiritual bequest, and everyone's is slightly different. So even if it is something that other people see as bad or wrong, as long as, money, for example, I know it's a lot of people's spiritual bequest, but just because I say that you shouldn't allow that to be your only reward for things, doesn't mean that it should be seen as something bad. It's definitely not. But I think that one of the best spiritual bequests we can be on is to share what comes through us in whatever way we can, and to just completely allow, surrender to the fact that our gift has already been given in the form of this gift of expression. What if we are just vessels that hold love, that hold divine inspiration, and it's not really us doing it at all? Maybe 50% of it is us reading the books and going through the experiences of life and all of those kinds of things, but the other 50% is given to us by life, by consciousness. And the same can be said for internal and external ambition or satisfaction. You can be the one to give 50% of that to yourself always, so that the other 50% can be given to you by the world, by relationships. But if you go out looking specifically to fill 100% of your ambition, 100% of your satisfaction and contentment outside of you, you will always feel empty. You have to fill up your heart yourself. And I like that sound. And that's my little ramble for today. I'll just show you one final thing. Oh, two more things. This wooden wand. It's possible this is walnut. I don't remember. This was made by Eddie. This wonderful wand. It's more of a reminder, really, of our capability. And just to honour the Celtic wisdom that was shared with you today, I have this. Some of you know the story with this piece. I did a fluid art pour of green and black. It's actually a glow-in-the-dark green, which is really cool. It doesn't really glow that much, but just a little side note. And I really, just imagine that this Celtic knot wasn't there, the triquetha wasn't there. And I really disliked it. I looked at these colours this painting. It happens actually a lot to me with paintings. I either love them or I hate them that I create. And it sat there for months and I just kept wanting to paint over it and just get rid of it. And then one day I had the inspiration to draw a triquetha over the top of it, and it just, wow, it just changed the painting completely. I all of a sudden was just very grateful. So you never know what could come around the corner and surprise you and make you content with what you have, with what you create. You just never know. Like I say, I looked at this painting and it was disgusting to me, and then when I added this final piece, the final missing piece, I thought, wow, it's finished. I love it. So this is in our bedroom, and it's one of my favourite canvases I've ever done. So thank you for sharing space with me. Thank you so much. I love all of you who come here, even those of you that share hate with me. I know, I understand. And those of you who share love with me, I'm so beyond thankful. Thank you for your support. I'm grateful and thankful. Your spiritual bequest is about recognizing what gifts have